We'd like to welcome you to the Michigan Learning Channel's professional learning session on creating beloved community to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. My name is Rhonda Provost, and I am the project coordinator for the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators, also known as MESA, and the Michigan Learning Channel. Thank you for attending this PL session with us today. We invite you to add your name, where you are from, and what you teach into the chat. I also would like to recognize our MAISA Literacy Projects Director, Susan Townsend. And also, we'll be joined by a number of our teachers from the Read, Write, Roar program and our engagement coordinators that are represented around the state at different TV stations. Today, we will be talking about how to build a community to embrace diversity, equity, and be inclusive. Before we get started, here are some items for you to have to support your learning. Here is a link to the essential instructional practices in early literacy for your reference. We will be linking our lessons to these throughout the session, and you can find that in the chat. The essentials are for teachers. They are the how we teach. They help teachers to know and understand research-supported ways to teach children literacy skills. In our learner guide, we also have links to Michigan's English Language Arts standards for you as well. The standards are the what we have to make sure we teach children at each grade level. All materials will be available to you at the close of the session as well. We'd also like to thank the MEMIC Foundation, the sponsor of our session today. At the end of our session, we'll have a short video from the MEMIC Foundation about how to learn more regarding their grant programs and opportunities that are available to you as educators. Part of the naturally embedded beauty of the Michigan Learning Channel is that it provides free access to every Michigander in every corner of the state, since it is a 24/7 over-the-air broadcast channel. It is available through your local PBS station throughout Michigan. This map that's illustrated in the slide shows the regions in Michigan and the station that's affiliated with them. The Michigan Learning Channel is also available online at michiganlearning.org, and there you can find our live stream, on-demand episodes, which are also searchable by Michigan Learning Standard when available, learner guides, and extension activities for many of our programs. And there are other teacher resources. The Detroit Public Television app is also available and has a tab within it that links you directly to the Michigan Learning Channel. One of the goals of the Michigan Learning Channel is helping educators such as yourselves that are attending today. As part of that mission, we have established engagement coordinators at stations spread throughout the state. Here you have a name with a face. If you'd like to know more about the Michigan Learning Channel and our engagement coordinators, they would love to meet you in your area, and you can contact them and they will be glad to show you how the Michigan Learning Channel's resources can assist you. A special aim of the planning between Detroit Public Television and MESA was to have teacher representation from around the state. This map illustrates where teachers and coaches are from around the state in the 10 different regions that are supporting the work of MLC. We have had a few teachers change throughout the course of the show, so the map looks slightly different from each marking period. So next, I'm going to take you into our agenda, our highlights of what we're going to cover today. First, welcome and introductions, moving into our MAISA Literacy Essentials and our Michigan Learning Channel connections. Next, we will segue into the essential highlights connected to creating beloved community to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. We'll have some final thoughts. There will also be a text giveaway today, and then the sketchy form will be released. The learner guide has live links to all of the resources for today, and that you can find in the chat. And we'd also like you to utilize the sign-in form, and that you can access by also linking in the chat. You can receive sketchies for your work with us. You will earn 1 sketchy for this session today, and that form will be available to you at the end of the session. If you are unsure of which ISD your district is in, here is a map to help you locate your ISD, and that you can find also in the chat. Next, we're going to move into the objectives. So let's go over what our objectives are for today. First, we're going to learn how Michigan Learning Channel's Read, Write, Roar lessons are grounded in research-supported practices from MAISA's GELN, Essential Instruction Practices in Early Literacy for grades K-3. Next, you're going to have an opportunity to interact with the MLC teachers that are represented from around Michigan. And in this particular slide, you'll see a picture of them with their colleagues, some engagement coordinators, Olivia and Summer. And this was at the Michigan Reading Association. They had an opportunity to co-present a session. So you'll have an opportunity to meet those teachers today. We will then move into how Read, Write, Roar episodes may offer an opportunity for children to engage within their own beloved community while learning from educators in our state of different races, cultures, and geographic regions. Then next, you will preview episode clips and consider how they might support and/or enhance their literacy instruction. And then lastly, how to use Michigan Learning Channel as a bridge to connect families to a local community of learners. The Read, Write, Roar lessons are all connected to the literacy essentials, and this demonstrates the suite of resources that are available on literacyessentials.org. Then as we move through our lessons for today, you're going to have a reflection guide, and there will be 1 page for each video. You will have a total of 5 pages. We will add some prompts to the chat for a particular focus for each video. You can self-reflect which lesson you would like to talk about in the breakout rooms later. And in the chat, you will find that reflection form. And then during the videos, as you're watching them, if there is any information that you'd like to capture, please feel free to jot that down. And then you can place your information when you come back in the whole group, and we'll talk about that as we debrief on those lessons. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Tana Hoffman, and she is going to be our first presenter. And Tana also teaches on the Read, Write, Roar for 3rd grade. Tana?
Ani, bonjour. Hello, friends. Well, I'm Tana Hoffman, and I am the 3rd grade teacher for reading and writing on Read, Write, Roar. I also live and work in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, in Sault Ste. Marie. I am a 2nd grade teacher at JKL Balwating Anishinaabe School. Yes, woohoo, go UP. And yes, I've been working up here and loving life for over 22 years. And so that is who I am. I want to discuss with you Essential 1, the connection to our beloved community. And I specifically want to talk about a couple of very distinct points. Within Essential 1, we need to remember as educators that we are deliberate. We're deliberate in our teaching and our instruction. We are research-based. We have opportunities and give opportunities for students to work specifically within their zone of proximal development. We want to make sure that as we encourage our young readers and writers, that we create authentic readers and writers within their school time. And we also have this amazing opportunity to create and to work in small groups, turn and talk, and of course, our shared reading, and don't forget the shared writing instruction that we get to offer students. It is super important within this Essential 1 that we create a purpose for our authors and our readers, and that we also consider the audience in which they will be creating their authentic reading and writing experiences for. We can do all of this, and on top of that, help establish and develop a true love for literacy. So for this, I have a writing section where we took 2 books, 2 informational texts. They are then used to compare and contrast and then create a written paragraph form for them using text evidence. The 2 texts are "A Butterfly is Patient" and also "A Seed is Sleepy." These wonderful books have quite beautiful illustrations for students to not only learn from, but also very vivid text as well. So, okay. During this time, you're going to see several essentials, specifically essential 1, generating excitement about reading and about that shared writing experience. I'm also giving some strategies to help students think about writing. We're also, before that, you would have seen a read aloud. You would have seen my modeling of that fluency. Of course, child-friendly explanations and building that base of knowledge, as well as vocabulary and comprehension strategies. Also, you could find essential 6 is where we'll be doing the writing process using a variety of text, including graphic organizers. And then also essential 7, reading in the content area, of course, and using those friendly explanations. So, okay, let's take a moment and take a look at that video.
The author did such an amazing job, my friends, with the book "A Butterfly is Patient." Those sentences were so beautiful. Today, we're going to go through putting, right, our details, the ones that are different and the same, together to make our own paragraph. You can take a look, my friends, and see that we have been working on our Venn diagram from the book "A Seed is Sleepy" and "A Butterfly is Patient." We took all of the things, all of the details, all of the information that we knew from that book, and we put it not only into how they were different, but then we found the similarities and we merged it to the middle to tell others how a seed and a butterfly are the same. So now, friends, it's time to put that into a paragraph. So I went ahead and wrote out some sentences for us. Let's see if we can find our parts. Are you ready? Let's go. So we start with our topic sentence. A seed is sleepy and a butterfly is patient are similar and different. Do you agree or do you disagree? Is that a topic sentence? Yeah, because I'm going to tell you one way that they're the same and one way that they're different in my paragraph. So that is going to be our topic sentence. That is how we compare and contrast using 2 texts. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Now we need important facts. Let's think. For instance, they both talk about migration. Okay, in order to find that in our Venn diagram, where would you find that? You would find it in the center, wouldn't you, my friends? That's right, migration. We learned that a seed has to leave a parent plant, but then we also learned that butterflies have to move somewhere warm after they go through their metamorphosis. So, my friends, important fact, absolutely, both books talk about migration, and that is the they in this sentence. Now, we've got to bring the text evidence. What are the details from the books to support migration? Are you ready? Okay, in the first book, A Seed is Sleepy, the seed must leave the parent plant. In the second book, butterflies migrate to warm places.
I hope you got some really great information and were able to take some notes off of that. Moving on, we think about read alouds and our connections to Essential 2. So here's an outline for us to go ahead and look at. You can take a look at it now, and also we can look at it. You can look at it later. But this shows the skills that are taught in the read aloud lesson. So as well as the connections to the essentials in the Michigan ELA standards. So in the essential connections, you'll note that there's an acronym, EIP, which stands for Essential Instructional Practice. And following that is the number that references the essential number, and the second number after the period is connected to the bullet. So for example, selecting tier 1 and tier 2 words is connected to Essential Instructional Practice 7, bullet 1. And of course, the Michigan English Language Arts Standards work similarly. So for example, for vocabulary acquisition, we have the use of L.K.4. The L stands for language, the K stands for kindergarten, and of course, the 4 stands for the fourth strand. So if you would like to learn more about read alouds, you can watch session 4 workshop, where you can find, of course, on the michiganlearning.org channel or on our webpage. So we're going to move on to Essential 8 now, friends. Essential 8, sorry, I have that horrible habit of saying friends all day long. Essential 8 is going to focus, of course, on the importance of the abundant reading materials and reading opportunities for students in our classrooms and, of course, at home. So the Read, Write, Roar program involves students' abilities to access and connect with that high quality reading material in their home, since we have secured the rights to broadcast all of these particular books that we choose. So we aim to use as many diverse text as possible through securing these rights. Is one barrier to that. And so when reading, we strive to provide these connections through diversity, and of course, culture within those texts. Families can tune daily or utilize our Michigan Learning Channel website to provide access to, of course, the rich community connections to the literature. And you'll also notice that through the episodes, you'll see with students, we're encouraged to be writers and authors of themselves, that true authenticity. We want to demonstrate how we try to keep all lessons really low stakes, but with high impact. And we want to keep things consistent and connected as much as possible, as, of course, for our children and our families, so that they know what to expect. Teachers can build off of each other and make connections, of course, across the lessons. And we also want this to be really easy for families and children, so that all material can be found around their home environment and made as easily as possible. We're going to watch clips together from our first grade team now. At the beginning, you will see them do an overview of the lesson, which is we call the T's, and then invite children to do some writing and to get something to write on and something to write with, which demonstrates the ease of participating at home. When we see the clips of Read Aloud with Miss Rogers, of course, the phenomenal first grade teacher, who is giving kids access to text they may not have, and by helping them to, of course, to connect to people in their community. As you are viewing this, I invite you to respond into the chat with any kind of thoughts or ideas that you have in particular about this. So let's go ahead and watch that video.
Hi there, learners. Welcome to Read, Write, Roar. Today we are going to learn a new ending, the ing ending that says ing. Find out what that's all about. We'll also be learning more about communities with Miss Rogers, and then we're going to write a poem. So grab something to write with and something to write on, and meet me right back here so we can start to read, write, and roar.
Hello, amazing learners. It's Miss Rogers here. We're going to learn more about community helpers. We're going to do that by reading a few pages from the book Community Helpers Then and Now by Bobby Coleman, with permission from Crabtree Publishing. Before we get started, I have a chart here, present and long ago. We're going to fill in the present side with things that we notice about school helpers now. And on the long ago side, we're going to fill in things that we noticed about schools long ago. And then we're going to compare them. So let's get started with our first page, school helpers. Most of the people who work at your school are teachers, but some school workers help you in other ways. The principal is the head of the school. The librarian shows you how to find the books you need. Now, this paragraph mentioned 3 people. It mentioned teacher, principal, and librarian. So let's go ahead and write that on our chart. Now let's take a look at the photographs. At the very top, we see someone holding a stop sign, and we also see 2 children. Now, who do you think that person is, and what is that person doing? Yes, this is the crossing guard. The crossing guard has a stop sign which tells the cars to stop because students are trying to cross the street safely. So let's go ahead and write the word crossing and then guard. Crossing guard. Crossing. There's our ing ending. Crossing guard. Now, crossing guards are very important part of keeping our schools safe.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I'm so happy now to introduce Jody to talk about her experience with Read, Write, Roar, and of course, to connect it to our beloved community.
Thanks, Tana. So my name is Jody Pung. I am a kindergarten teacher on Read, Write, Roar, and I also work as the early literacy coach in Ionia County. Prior to becoming an early literacy coach, I spent about 10 years teaching kindergarten and first grade for Lakewood Public Schools. So you just heard Tana talk about Essentials 1 and Essentials 8. Beyond book access and fostering motivation and engagement, children need access to high quality literacy instruction so that they can learn letter names and letter sounds in order to be able to read and write. Being literate creates power. It enables students to have a voice, to have agency, and to express their opinions. So in this next clip that you're going to see, it's a kindergarten lesson. It's a word builder lesson that I'm teaching. This is connected to essential instructional practices 4 and 5. This supports creating a beloved community of learners in Michigan by asking students to use their phonological awareness knowledge and to make intentional connections to letter sound relationships and allowing them to apply their phonics skills. Something that you'll notice in this lesson is that it creates a high level of engagement for students through verbally explicit instruction, and it also involves multiple channels such as oral, visual, kinesthetic, and tactile learning opportunities. Not only is this a fun learning opportunity for children, but what I love about this lesson is that it also helps parents to have a strategy to move from letters and sounds into now beginning to blend words. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. What I want you to think about as we're watching is think about maybe what this lesson would look like in a classroom setting. And how is this lesson including diversity and inclusion and fostering engagements for our students across the state of Michigan?
Friends, we've been learning so many new letters and sounds. Now it's time to work together to put those sounds together and build some words. Are you ready to be word builders? All right, let's get started. Here's our first word. I'll show you how it's done. When I tap the letter, say the sound, and when I slide my hammer, blend the sounds together to read the word. I'll show you how to do the first one. Ready? P, N. Now blend with me. Pin. Now say it in a snap. Pin. I use a pin to pop the balloon. Pin. Now I'm going to change the first letter and we'll make a new word. Ready? Let's say the sounds. Oo, I, N. Blend with me. Win. Say it in a snap. Win. I love when I win my game. win. Now we're going to change another letter. This time we'll change the beginning letter and the ending letter. Here's our new word. Say the sounds with me. S, e, p. Now blend. Sip. Say it in a snap. Sip. I take a sip of my milk. Sip.
So as you can see in that lesson, there was lots of opportunities for students to participate and move and engage. On the screen, what you're seeing now is an outline of some of the skills that are covered. And Tana already explained to you how you can find the essential instructional practice and how you would find the Michigan Learning Standards within there. This lesson is specifically about blending sounds and letter identification and explicit instruction around those letter names, letter sounds. Also the concept of letter formation. So I hope that you can think about how this is something that might be useful in your classroom, and especially for students that might not have access at home. Now I'm going to pass it off to Tracy, and Tracy's going to talk to us about another instructional practice.
Hello all, I am Tracy Zari King. I am a second grade teacher here at Kalamazoo Public Schools. I am also a second grade phonics teacher for the Read Write War. I got involved with Read Write War when there was a push for diverse teachers. I'm going to show you a clip here that's going to connect to Essential 6 and 7. You're going to see how I'm explicitly teaching in the lesson. The lessons are really short, and so they're really concise and to the point. I like how they are, so like I'm going to show in this lesson where we talk about the ch sound, right? And so then I explicitly teach, well, you use TCH when there's a short vowel in front of it. So if it's in the middle or at the end of the word, but you might use CH when it comes at the beginning of the word, right? So we talk about different spelling patterns and different ways we might use it. And we all know that English can get very tricky. So these are very, very helpful. I have learned a lot myself when I'm teaching these lessons. But you'll see how these connect to Essential 6 for spelling strategies and require students to use what they know about phonics and phonological awareness. Essential 7 asks us to intentionally and ambitiously build vocabulary knowledge. When I think about diversity and inclusion when teaching phonics, I think about vocabulary building. I like to say that I'm making these vocabulary words tangible. I'm showing objects, and this can even help ESL learners. As I use this in my classroom, if I'm working on a certain spelling pattern, I do have the kids, I pull up these videos in Google Classroom, and they can work on them independently when I'm working with a small group at my table. So, you know, there's an extra push. They get to see me teaching a whole group, but then they also can see me teaching independently at their desk or when they're with me at small groups. So they're staying busy, but they're always getting that same learning. So we're gonna go ahead and watch a clip. As you see the clip, maybe you can think about some strategies that you notice that support all learners, and you can go ahead and type those in the chat.
All right, scholars. Well, I'm going to tell you about how I am going to get ready for a picnic. Do you know what a picnic is? You're definitely right about that. You definitely need food. And where are picnics held at? Outside, you're right. So you need to be outside with some food and you can have a picnic. Absolutely. Well, during this story I'm going to tell you about me getting ready for a picnic, there are going to be some words with the ch sound. And on your paper, when we hear one of those ch sounds, we're going to figure out, is that word being spelled with a CH ch or a TCH ch? And then we're going to write it in the right column. Are you ready? I hope so. Here we go. When I was packing up the chicken nuggets, I remembered that my daughter won't eat them unless I have some ketchup to go with them. So I better put that in the basket as well. Did you hear a ch word? Ketchup? Let's look at that word. In ketchup, catch up. There are two syllables. Let's look at this first syllable. K, ch. There is a short vowel sound before the ch. You see that? And we see that it is spelled with a TCH. So where are we going to write the word ketchup at? You got it, under the TCH spelling pattern. Well, then I thought, okay, so we eat, our chicken nuggets, our chips, and our cheese, and then we want something sweet. So I had to make a fresh batch of cookies. I really did. Oh, yummy delish. So, but cookies doesn't start with a ch. Did you hear a ch word? I made a fresh batch of cookies. Batch. Oh, yes, batch. Let's look at this word. Batch. There is a short vowel sound, and that is why we have the TCH spelling pattern. Where are we going to write the word batch? Absolutely, scholars. Under our TCH column.
All right, so that was a short clip for you. We do a lot of reading words, spelling words, sorting words, all that good stuff. Lots of times for engagement. I'm always asking them to grab something to write with me. And I always give them some think time, and I'm waiting to hear what they have to say. Obviously, I can't really hear them, but I'm wanting them to participate. So here is a slide for you to look at later as a reference. It shows the skills taught in the word sort lesson, especially highlighting, that purpose, or that establishing a purpose for children to read and write beyond being assigned or expected to do so. So making it enjoyable or of interest for them. And so we try to be really exciting. We're on a computer screen, so we want to be involved with them. So now we are going to hear from my second grade partner, Shannon Fuller, about her experiences with Read, Write, War and the connections to her beloved community.
Thank you, Tracy.
Of course.
Thanks for being here, everyone. So I'm going to be talking to you about Essential 10, Family Engagement and the Connection to Beloved Community. So a community can be a group of people living in the same place, or a group of people that have something in common. It can also mean a feeling of fellowship with others. When we think about community, we think of the community in which we live, our school community, our classroom community, or our family. Essential 10 focuses on collaboration with families in promoting literacy by providing our students and families with opportunities to form and belong to a community. We promote the feeling of togetherness and support. So as teachers, we can promote that feeling of, let's do this together, and how can I help? And I'm going to back up for a second because I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Shannon Fuller. I'm the second grade teacher for Read, Write, Roar, and I'm also the reading specialist and early literacy coach at the Manistee ISD. So Essential 10, collaboration with families in promoting literacy. We want to engage families in literacy interactions with their children. And some ways we can do that, we can prompt children during reading and writing and demonstrate ways to incorporate literacy promoting strategies into everyday activities at home, such as cooking, communicating with friends and family, traveling in a bus or car. We can support families in supporting children in doing their homework and in academic learning over the summer. We can show families how to speak with children in their home, encourage families to speak with children in their home comfortable language. And we can promote literacy by supporting resources such as books from the classroom that children can borrow or keep, informing families of events and programs that are accessible to them, announcing local events, passes to museums and access to libraries and that sort of information. So writing is another way to engage families in literacy interactions with children. And we're going to see a clip of a Let's Write lesson. Prior to the writing lesson, we read a book and did an interview with an archaeologist. And so then our writing lesson to follow that up is we're writing a poem specifically about an archaeologist. So in our grade 2 Let's Write lessons, we cover a wide range of writing focuses, including poetry, which is in episode 416, writing to support a science lesson in episode 205, and persuasive writing in lesson 212. So our clip also connects to Essential 6, which is research and standards aligned writing instruction, and then parts of Essential Practice 1, motivation and engagement. So here's our clip. And as they play the clip in the chat, you can think about the question, how might a Let's Write lesson engage literacy instruction at home?
We're going to be authors today, scholars, and we're going to learn to write a type of a poem called a cinquain. A cinquain is a type of a poem that has 5 lines. We're going to write our own poem, and we're going to write it about an archaeologist. So the one word or the noun that I'm going to use for my first line is archaeologist. Now we need 2 words that describe the noun or adjectives. Good. I heard you say careful, because archaeologists need to be careful as they dig in the dirt. And I heard curious. I'm going to put a comma in between because it's a list. Archaeologist, careful, curious. Now we need 3 words that show action or show what an archaeologist is doing. They need to be verbs that end in ing. I like those. I heard digging, collecting, and discovering. Let's write that. Digging, and I'm going to put a comma between these because they're a list. Digging, collecting, discovering. Now we need a 4-word phrase that tells us something about an archaeologist. They do look for things from the past. So I'm going to write, they study the past. They study the past. For our last line, we need 1 word that's a synonym or a word that means the same thing as archaeologist. And an archaeologist is a scientist because they're exploring and discovering. All right, let's go ahead and read our poem together. Archaeologist, careful, curious, digging, collecting, discovering. They study the past, scientist.
So here is the same outline that you've seen previously. You can look at it for reference later. It shows the skills taught in lessons for Let's Write, as well as connections to the essentials and the Michigan ELA standards. So in just a minute, we're going to put you into breakout rooms where you will have about 10 minutes to talk and share. Some talking points might be, how do you see this connected to your instruction? What opportunities do you see? Did you notice any new practices you will implement? What questions might you have around these lessons, practice, or research?
So we're going to ask you a couple poise questions. We want to know, how did it go? Would anyone like to share a takeaway or a way to see using this in your context? You can pick out an idea, place it in the chat, and then we have some time that we can have some further conversation around that particular item. Anyone willing to share? Shelby. Hi, Shelby.
Hi everyone. I am a Michigan Learning Channel education engagement coordinator, so I feel kind of bad taking the microphone a little bit, but our breakout room was delightful. We talked a lot about kind of like poetry. I know in the lesson they were talking about poetry, and it is National Poetry Month, so we were just talking about incorporating poetry more into our lessons. And one thing that really stuck out to me is that if a child, especially an elementary age child, if they're able to kind of like express how they're feeling through poetry from something they've read, God, like what an amazing feat, like for a kid to be able to express themselves in writing that way. I just think it's amazing. So I think it's a really great tool to use. So that was something we talked about quite a bit. Summer was actually touching on at the end, like right when we got cut off, just how important it is for children to see diverse characters in the books that they're reading. And that was something that kind of like stuck out to me as well. I think especially in some of the areas that I represent, Northern Lower Michigan, it's really important for those students to see kind of like people who are different than them sometimes, and really more emphasis on people who are the same as them, right? So if you have a student, you know, who is different in any way, diverse in any way, for them to see someone like them in a book is really important and should be emphasized.
Thank you for sharing that. That really tied into today's inclusive topic, and it really rounded it out well. And that was a nice representation, Shannon, of the poetry, the process in building that. It was very staged and helpful for parents or anyone to replicate.
Thank you. And in our breakout room, that's what we talked about, was how something as simple as the poem could be something that parents could, after watching the episode, say, oh, I could do that.
Anyone else like to share?
I like to share, if that's okay, Rhonda.
Sure.
Hi, everyone. My name is Summer, and I am an engagement coordinator in Mid-Michigan at WKAR. So something that I don't think we brought up in our group, but that, you know, I know that you are teachers for Rewrite Word, that you strategically do is you make sure that the lessons that you're teaching, that they align with what our students should be learning at that grade level in their classrooms. So having the poetry lessons, I apologize, that's my dog in the background, having the poetry lessons, having that air now when our students may be interacting in their ELA lessons with poetry currently, you know, in the trimester, it just makes sense. And it's also just kind of, it reminds the parents, I would say the caregivers and the educators, to let them know that this is what they're getting is a supplement. So it's not it's not going to replace them, but it just kind of reiterates what the kids are getting in the classroom. And that they know this is something that whether they're in the classroom with it or they're going home, it's going to be a repetition of what they should be learning in the classroom. I know I say this for myself because my son came home and he said, this is the poem that I wrote in class. And that was last week. So we know that what you all are teaching is going to be reflective of what they're actually getting in the classroom. So that was something else that I wanted to share.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting, and all of the connections that we've made with, you know, there's 2 episodes a week, and we talked about it in our session as well, the process that we go through for the recording, you know, when it actually meets the episode availability. So thank you for all of your contributions, and to our teachers who work, you know, full-time jobs and help on the side with this project. It's been very evolutionary. All right, with that, how about if we wrap up for today's session? First of all, thank you all for attending. Next, we're gonna make available to you these pathways to learning more about the Michigan Learning Channel in the Read, Write, Roar episodes. If you're interested in learning more about the essential instructional practices, there is an entire suite of resources that you have free access to. This includes free online modules for each essential. You can earn sketchies for free as well. And here is where you will find the link at literacyessentials.org. You will click online modules and then K3. To get started, in the learner guide, there is a tutorial and you can register from there. There are modules for pre-kindergarten, K-3, school-wide, center-wide, and coaching. Coaching essential modules are at EduPass, which is also free. So these are all free resources for educators. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions. These are our teachers that were represented on our professional learning today. Thank you again, teachers. There are also many ways that you can keep in touch with us: the Michigan Learning Channel, the MAISA. These are our social media platforms. Feel free to reach out at any time. Before we end the session, we have a short video, as I mentioned at the beginning, from our series sponsor, MEMIC. They will be sharing with us about grant opportunities that you can apply for and how to move forward with it.
Hello, educators. I'm Pam Harlan, Director of the MEMIC Foundation, with an important tip. The MEMIC Foundation is here to support you, providing fun as well as needed resources for your classroom. So here's my tip. Join the MEMIC Foundation Club now at mimicfoundation.org. Membership is free. Now, once you join, you can easily apply for our grant opportunities every month with a simple click to win things like Chromebooks and document cameras, programmable robots, musical instruments like boom whackers and kalimbas, classroom furniture, books, basic school supplies, and so much more. Since 2018, the MEMIC Foundation have given out millions and millions of dollars in grants to teachers like you in schools like yours. So take a minute to join more than 99,000 of your fellow educators at mimicfoundation.org. All of us at MEMIC wish you a safe, healthy, and productive school year, and we look forward to supporting you and your students. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do.
Next, we have a text giveaway. I have my book right here. We are happy we can provide 4 of you with a copy of Dr. Goldie Muhammad's text, Cultivating Genius, an Equity Framework for Culturally and Historically Responsive Literacy. In Cultivating Genius, Dr. Goldie Muhammad presents a 4-layered equity framework, which she names Historical Responsive Literacy, derived from the study of literacy development within 19th century Black literacy societies. The framework is essential and universal for all students, especially youth of color, who traditionally have been marginalized in learning standards, school policies, and classroom practices. The equity framework will help educators teach and lead toward the following learning goals or pursuits. For example, identity development, skill development, intellectual development, criticality, and our Michigan ISD Early Learning Coaching Network has been learning from Dr. Muhammad this year and working to apply her framework as we support the implementation of the essential instructional practices in early literacy. We will announce the winners with the materials from this session that will be sent to your inbox, and winners will be contacted via the email they provide on the sketchy feedback form. Please join us for our next session on May 17th from 4 to 5 p.m. The next session is all about family engagement and summer learning, which family engagement you learned today is essential practice number 10. We'll also be highlighting the Michigan Learning Channel Summer Learning Program and all of the resources available to keep kids and families connected and learning over the summer. The link to register is in the chat as well as the learner guide. We hope to see you all there. We hope you'll join us back to read, write, and roar some more. We would love your feedback. we're asking that you please complete this form, for which it will give us feedback and also allows you to apply for the sketchies, and that you'll find as well in the chat. If you are unsure of which ISD your district is in, a map is provided for you. With that, on behalf of the Michigan Learning Channel, MAISA, Detroit Public Television, and our teachers and engagement coordinators, as well as our coaches, we thank you for attending today's session and hope to see you on May 17th. And have a great Earth Week.
Bama Pika Wabaman. We'll see you next time on Read, Write, Roar.